top of that, you also did want to have a good poop.
Oh, I probably had a great poop that day too. So,
Okay.
But welcome once again to Chill Filtered, the podcast where we drink whiskey so you don't have to, but you probably should, and you probably are, and that's why we like it. This is episode 230.
Or
Robby.
if you go by Robby standards, 231.
Yeah, exactly.
I messed up
but
a couple
Robby,
weeks ago.
we're coming up on 240, and you know what that means? That
200
means
episodes with me?
No. Twice as long with you as with Adam. So
Really?
You would have beaten him by 2 at that point. So you
Boy,
will
oh
have
boy.
beaten him by 2. Yeah, that's what's cool. But here's some business real quick. Reach out on Instagram. If you don't know us, if you've been a long time listener, if you listen to more than 4 episodes and you are hooked, just reach out on Instagram. We're always down to hear from you. We talk to sometimes multiple people a day, and we love it. It's always fun.
We love it.
Always cool, especially if you're someone we don't know. We'd love to start something. So that's what the business is this week. Hit us up on Instagram, especially if you haven't already. And another one to you, Caleb Olson, who we sort of heard from recently, but we also want to hear about you recently.
We miss you.
Yeah, we miss you, Caleb. One of our first reach outs on Instagram. But I met him in person. But
reach back around, back at us.
Reach back around and touch us.
Reach out and touch us.
Yeah. So a nice finish to the business with some quality verbatim reenactments of Depeche Mode. So with that being said, with the business out of the way, Robby, how's your week? How you doing?
It's been a week, man. It's been longer than a week. So we recorded last Thursday?
Yeah, Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that.
Tuesday, maybe it was early. Yeah, and so since then, I went to Vegas last weekend with my brother-in-law.
Yeah.
It was great. Thanksgiving's happened, and then sickness is in the household. So it's been quite the week. So yeah, no, I had a good time. Went to Vegas with my brother-in-law. Looked at some good art. Walked around. Drank some. What's that?
You get any good food?
Yeah, well, we did. Since we've been last, it's the first time we've been where the buffets are back open, but there's really not a lot of dinner buffets, which is kind of crazy. So we did
weird.
We did the really super expensive breakfast one at Caesar's, and that was delicious. We went to.
Have you ever been to the one? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there's one buffet thing. It's like a Thai restaurant or something like that. It's like a big deal in Vegas, but it would definitely not be a breakfast one.
Have not, no.
Okay. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't, but I'm intrigued.
That's all good.
Anyway, the breakfast buffet had crab legs, and I felt like a fancy man with crab legs at breakfast. Now, did I eat them? Not really. But did I take a picture and send it to the wife? Yes, I did.
Yeah, you did.
I don't know. We did that, and I just walked, looked at a lot of good art. What's my Vegas whiskey? What's the Vegas whiskey that I always drink? I can't. Peanut flavor.
Dickel.
No, not Dickel.
You mean Screwball?
Evan Williams.
Oh yeah.
A little Evan Williams bottle and bond.
You get it from a CVS?
From the ABC. I realized I like the ABC stores better than the CVS's. So Vegas was last week, and then came home, started house projects, painting the girls' bathroom. So the house.
Yeah. How did the wallpaper go?
So that's gonna go in the laundry room. So here's the problem: we got a color, the color that Chelsea's mom picked in her house. We're like, oh, we like that a lot. I think it'll go because we had a lot of wood tones, like browns, in the bathroom. So we're like, okay, well it'll go well with that, but it kind of looks gray. So went to Sherwin-Williams, bought this expensive paint, and put it up on the wall in the bathroom. We're like, that looks different than what it was. And so then we got the sample. I'm like, no, that's the same thing. So it just in that space, it looked
weird.
Worse.
That's the hard thing about design and stuff. It's sometimes it just doesn't work with the scene.
And here's the problem. I knew we were going to use it in the plan was to use it in the twins' bathroom, in the Mars bathroom, our bathroom, and the laundry room. So I'm like, I'm going to need at least 2 gallons. So I bought 2 gallons. Because it was one of the things you don't want you just want to have your supplies. You don't want to do the second run back. So anyway, that stunk. So anyway, painted that. And because we had to do this Painto switcheroo, so we didn't end up doing the wallpaper yet. We haven't gotten to the laundry room. So just do the twins' bathroom for now. So
hey,
we get done recording here I'm gonna hang up. So I'm gonna do the finishing touches and hang up the racks and all that stuff, and so that'll be good.
Nice.
And then we're all sick. Finley's been struggling this week. Like, had to give her some
Oh,
steroids and stuff because she was just like, it goes like any lung thing hits her hard.
yeah.
Um, and now like and like Amara's like teen attitude was like, you got us sick because like Amara's getting it now, and then Jennifer's like, you got us sick, Finley. I'm like, hey guys, you all go to school, like you all get around germs, like leave Finley alone. And Finley sends
Yeah.
so and then no, Thanksgiving was good except for didn't do a regular turkey. Like we did a Costco pre-smoked turkey and warmed it up, and it just didn't feel as festive. So
that's cool. So you didn't even use your Camp Chef.
No, didn't do nothing. All I did was reheat a turkey. I was kind of disappointed. Cool. It's not cool. It's not cool.
I did.
So anyway, that's that. That's me, man. How were? Oh, and went to a Friendsgiving today with Chuck Westerberg and Stephanie Westerberg.
Nice.
Beautiful Patreon supporters.
Yeah, huge. Yeah. I mean, hugely beautiful, not beautifully huge.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, great people. So got back from that. Entry buzzed on some Four Roses cocktails with them. We did some specialty cocktails, and here I am. How are you, Cole? I don't remember what it's called. Raspberry Sunrise.
Oh, Raspberry Sunshine, you mean?
No, it's pretty good. So I made like a honey simple syrup, and then after you take it off the heat, steep some cranberries in it for about 2 hours, and then use the cranberries as garnishes. Rolled them in some sugar, which I think if it has some like citric acid to put on them too.
Ooh, I love citric acid. Make it a little sour.
Well, the cranberries are already kind of sour, right?
Yeah, they are.
With the sugar, it's kind of like a natural.
Oh, so you didn't add actual citric acid to it? You were saying
no,
like
but
the
I wanted
themselves.
I think.
I got some of that at home. It's it'll get your tongue going, like the salivary glands just going crazy
for sure. So anyway, that's been my week. It's been a busy, crazy week.
Yeah, that's
what about you, man?
Me too. Yeah, so I had a 3-day week at work, which was really nice. It was kind of a long week. And I was kind of really looking forward to that Wednesday after work because that was, I had, of course, Thursday and Friday off. Beck got sick on Tuesday. And so if you throw up, you're not allowed to back in the next day. You got to give it a day for the daycare, which is fine. At least this is Beck. So, so she, threw up in the evening on Monday night. And we came in and she was crying a little bit and we're like, oh wow, there's some stuff in this, crib.
I think are we allowed to say? Yeah, I think we're allowed to say vomit on the air.
I don't know. It just sounds weird. But
Chuck,
she threw up a little bit in the puke. What's Ralph? No. But she got sick on that night and then. But then she did well after that, and that was at like midnight. So she slept well the rest of the night, changed the sheets and stuff, and then she apparently got sick at daycare again. So we took her out on Tuesday, and then so Heather came home, took her, and then we had to keep her out on Wednesday too. And then Friday the daycare took off as well, so I had to just spend my whole off day on Friday watching Bag. And I'll tell you what, man. There are some days where, you are just in love. And I'm not saying I'm not in love with my kid, but there are some days where you're just like, that baby can't do wrong,
It's just easy.
And that was a hard day on Friday.
Hard days too.
Yeah. And it was, I was like watching my patience meter go down. And it wasn't really like, I think I was more frustrated, to be honest. And this is a little selfish to say, but it's real. I was just a little frustrated that, I couldn't get anything done, and I didn't even intend to, but the one thing that I was like, I'm going to do on top of watching Beck today is prep a sourdough loaf, which isn't a euphemism for anything. I wasn't prepping to have a good poop that day or anything like that. But I wanted to get some sourdough made.
But on top of that, you also did want to have a good poop.
Oh, I probably had a great poop that day too. So, okay. But there was, and it was like doable, but like she is in kind of the stage where she knows when you're not paying attention to her.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes she could play by herself and that's cool, but like when you are not even looking in her direction, she's like, oh no, I'm gonna
make
sure he's
that's the single child problem right there.
Yeah.
Right. Like because when you like, if you and Heather were both home, one of you is like, I'll play with Beck, you do the sourdough loaf, right? Like you can, and so they get used to it. Like that was the thing with Amara. Like Amara, like you were just, like, it was not that it was difficult to play with her, because you just wanted to be like, okay, do this with me, we'll do this stuff together.
Yeah.
But man, like the twins are a whole new different story, because like they will like play by themselves. Like they'll like for long,
That's
like
great.
on a good day, they will just play and like you just got to feed them. But when Amara was a single child, man, like it's just, they know.
Yeah.
They're used to it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just there are times where I'm like, I can, like, and the funny thing about sourdough is, like, when you get your hands dirty, you got to wash them before you handle a child.
Oh, you're sticky.
So yeah, I'm
especially
like, I got sticky dough on my
especially a child with long hair. A little girl, you don't want to get that in the hair and have to cut the hair, and like it's like glue.
Yeah.
And she's not gonna, you can't hold them underwater long enough without hurting them.
Exactly.
You have to let it loosen up.
You got to pick and choose your battles when you're dealing with dough and a child with long hair. So, yeah, it was good, but this whole week has been like, Heather and I have kind of been back and forth, like kind of handling her, because I think she just, she doesn't let you rest right now. Like there were times where we could like play in her room and just lay on the floor and kind of watch her. But now she's like, no, read this book to me. Now read this book to me. Dude, now play this toy with me.
Parenting
hack. And she'll get frustrated if you don't. So
get some washable markers, take your shirt off, lay on your stomach, and say, give me tattoos. I did that once with Amara, like a couple times with Amara, and like, and she would like sit for an hour, like, because you get just draw all over my back.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Here's my worry with that. So like, she often will like go to her playroom and be like, hey, can I play with my crayons and my drawing book? And so we'll be like, yes, you can do that. But when you're really, really tired, you don't want to hand out crayons easily, or washable markers. But someday I'll be like, you know what? Just have the washable markers. We'll wash it all off later, the walls and stuff like that.
Dude, but no, the thing is, like, because you get to lay down, you're with her, and you lay down, you close your eyes a little bit, and it's like
and you'll feel when the tip is not on you. Yeah.
Yep. That's what she said.
I know. I knew there was gonna come to something. So what else has been going on? Work's been a little bit stressful, but I've kind of been on that. But it's getting a little bit better than the last time I talked. Like I said, I've made some mistakes recently that my boss brought up, that he's like, hey, we need to work on these. So I've been working on them, and I feel like I've been doing all right with that. But it's next week is going to be a 5-day week, like starting. So we're recording on Sunday this week. So tomorrow our episode comes out. But this whole week will be a 5-day week, which kind of seems very daunting to me, because like last week was a 3-day week and it seemed long.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but I think I'll be closing in on a few projects that I'm working on. So that's good. Jewelry has been picking up. I have, what's that? Yeah. I've been getting a lot of orders, Christmas orders and stuff like that, which is awesome. I basically just got to set aside my evenings after Beck goes to sleep to just make them all, which is good. I actually feel like it's very doable, but it's awesome to see money come in. I'm excited for Christmas. I can finally say that it is past Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And I can finally say that without feeling weird about it.
Dude, I love Christmas. I typically am like, nope, nothing Christmas till after Thanksgiving. But this year I'm like, I'm ready. I've been ready.
2022.
I tell you what was pretty cool. Last night, got the tree put up, and the twins and Amara did like all the decorating, and then like I was like, hey, we're not like, well, what about our stuff? I'm like, gotta put this box away first. Like they cleaned the box up and got the next, like it was the most
motivating,
calm,
nice,
like Christmas decorating ever. It was wonderful. Right?
That's awesome.
Oh,
we gotta put up the tree today. Yeah.
The other cool thing is like post-COVID and kids are old enough now, like Chelsea wanted me to go pick her up a book on Black Friday, so I took Finley out with me, and we were like, hey, you want to do some Christmas shopping for your sister? So she got to pick presents out for her sisters, and we're like all about it. Came home and wrapped them.
She gets a good daddy-daughter date,
Yeah, and it was really nice. And then Chelsea went out with Finley later on, so now we just got to get out with her mom. She can pick out stuff for her sister. So like,
and they're gonna have so much fun wrapping it, and like, yeah.
I'm pretty sure they've already told each other what they got each other. Like,
oh, that's great.
Yeah,
twinsies.
That's a good point of life.
So did Finley get Amara and Juniper a gift?
Yep. Got to meet your gift. Yeah.
What do
Small. She
what
did
do the
good.
girls want? For what are the all three of them like? What's their like top notch or their top of the list gift that they want?
Junie wants, oh gosh, Hatchimals or Scruffaloves. Do you
Okay,
even know what that
no
is?
idea. Nope.
Okay. Scruffaloves are pretty cute. It's like this little dirty dog you get and you wash it off and comb its
Oh,
hair and like rescue it. And Hatchimals are like,
that's a great idea.
it's pretty. Actually, Beck might like it too. They're pretty cute.
That's such a good idea. Where you like rescue them. Oh, that's such a
Yes.
good
And you
idea.
give them a little,
Money in the bank idea.
yeah. And then Finley just likes Barbie stuff right now. And
Nice.
Amara is just like, she wants $1,000 gifts kind of a thing. So it's like, no,
Yeah,
listen, honey. Yeah. Yeah. We're not, yeah. We don't do TVs
You're
in
like,
bedrooms.
your
Like,
dad's a teacher.
yeah. Like, and she's like, I want a TV for my bedroom. I'm like, no, we don't do TVs in bedrooms.
Yeah.
I want an iPhone. Well, you got your flip phone, so we're sticking with that for a
Yeah.
while. Like, I don't know. It's just stuff like we've kind of limited her, which I
Yeah.
get. She wants something, but yeah.
Do you guys have a TV in your bedroom?
We have one in our bedroom, yeah. Grown ups
Okay.
get them. Grown ups get them. Because grown ups
We
will
tried
pass
that
out.
once. We just didn't like it. Like, we're not big TV people. Like, we actually don't even have network TV. But I think we tried it once and we were just like, it's better in the like living room for us.
No, so yeah, we have I will keep a TV on. Like if there's Saturday, Sunday, keep a game on, and I do my things around the house. So like at our bedroom, we don't really watch a lot of TV in our bedroom, but like if I'm cleaning in the room, I have something on. So I don't know. Kids don't get TVs in the room though.
Yeah,
although
I would never let
likes
my
to do
kid
that over
have a TV in the room.
Yeah.
My parents wouldn't.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Okay.
I feel like we've gone long on the shoot the breeze. So, but
Today we're drinking. It's been a while.
Yeah, but it's worth it. It's worth it. It's not like we're ever like forcing it. I mean, there's been a few times earlier on where we like forced it, but that was when it was like 10 minutes or less. But now we can talk. We can catch up. We can shoot that breeze. So
no, the forcing comes in when we do like back-to-back recordings.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
And then it's easy. But yeah, let's go for a walk, man.
Let's go for a quick
Our
walk.
favorite
We'll be
segment
right
we
back.
like to call walking break.
Walking break. And we're back from break. What a nice walk. What a nice walk.
Beautiful.
Before we get into any notes on history this week, I wanted to do a few shout outs. A huge shout out. The number one shout out this week is to Joel Bradbury, our Tasmanian friend who decided to see if he could test the limits of our Manly courier. And see if he could get the Manly courier to reach Tasmania and back to the US. And he did. And he was very successful. And so we are so grateful for Joel sending us 3 samples each. So I got to send them your way, Robby. Your half. But one of them, and I won't give too much away, but I'll say 2 things. I don't remember the names of the 2 Tasmanian distillers. But he also sent us an Irish whiskey that I think we're really going to like. And that's Redbreast 27.
Are you kidding?
Yes. The dude's a freaking baller.
Dang. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I mean,
that's
and
awesome.
I'm really excited about the Tasmanian distilleries too, because Australia is known to be a decent single malt distiller, but especially Tasmania. For some reason, that's in my opinion, from what I've seen of Australian whiskey, Tasmania is the hub. He got us, one of them was a what do you call it, basically an independent bottler that got its juice from Sullivan's Cove, which is a huge deal Tasmanian single malt distiller. So and then there was another one that was a smoked rye or something along that lines, it was very interesting. So I'm really excited about that. So big shout out, a few more dings for this baller, Joel Bradbury, one of our favorite Australian listeners. So another shout out to my father-in-law. I don't think he listens, but if he does, shout out to you, Tracy, for picking up this bottle when you visited Scotland. So thank you, Tracy, for providing the bottle we're drinking today. One quick note, Christmas, remember we have a full bottle. This is my partially drank-ed bottle, but we also have a full bottle of Weller 12 and a full bottle of Emerald Tea Lee up for the 2 listeners who are generous, so generous to send us Christmas gifts, randomly selected. We probably just need those. If you're sending anything, which you don't have to, but if you want to send anything, probably we need them by the 15th of December. So before we record our Christmas episode. So if you're thinking of sending / couriering something our way, just try to get us that by then, and reach out to us if you need addresses or anything like that. That's all I'll say for that. I found out also who our latest Patreon supporter is. Remember Richard Thwaites?
Mm-hmm.
That is a pseudonym for Broasquatesquinosa.
Our Canadian turtle friend.
Our Canadian turtle friend. So big thank you to you, our Canadian turtle friend, Broasquatesquinosa. Yeah. Ooh, that was high pitched. I felt like I was going to break that glass, but it's worth it for Mr. Broasquatesquinosa. So anyway, what we're drinking today, Glen Grant 15. I don't think we've mentioned it. Have we mentioned it? Glen Grant 15, specifically the batch proof first edition. So this is our second Glen Grant product on the podcast. We did the 16 year on episode 69. Nice. That was Miles Ferguson joint. He picked me up the bottle from the distillery itself. But that's been a while. I mean, that's like, what, 160 episodes ago, basically. So I don't mind sharing some overlap of what we talked about on that Glen Grant episode. But I did actually like go in a separate direction. So it's not too much overlap. But Glen Grant is such a special Speyside distillery. So let's talk about Glen Grant Distillery and what makes them special. So Glen Grant is definitely different than your average Highland / Speyside single malt distillery. I'd say it comes down to 3 things. 1, Jim Murray's opinion of them. 2, really tall, slender stills. And 3, something called a purifier. Now, we've talked about the first 2 last time. Jim Murray adores Glen Grant. If you go through the Whiskey Bibles, he wrote Glen Grant is all over them, especially over the last 5 to 7 years. If you go, and so basically, in fact, Glen Grant 18 won Scotch of the Year 4 years in a row. Like, number 1 Scotch. 4 years in a row. Same bottle, not just same distillery, same bottle. From 2017 to 2020, I believe, was the year. So 2017, 18, 19, 20. And he gave the exact same bottle, the exact same title, which is, give your opinion or whatever of Jim Murray or not. That's a ballsy move at the very least to put the same bottle in the same position every year. And so... But it also, last time we talked about a little about the tall, slender stills. I always want to say skills. But yeah, the stills, that separates Glen Grant from a lot of the rest of the Highland / Speyside distillers. Because a taller still means only the finest vapors go through. Meaning that it's usually a very crisp and potentially refreshing variety of Scotch. Similar to like triple distilling for like Irish whiskey, how Irish whiskey can typically be a little more refreshing than Scotch in general. The way they do their stills kind of makes it similar to that, where only the finest stuff gets through. Makes it more clean on the palate usually. But one thing I found out that Glen Grant also does, which we didn't mention last time, is something called a purifier. They use a purifier. I had never heard of this before, so I had to look into it. A purifier,
this is news to me.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's different ways to do this. And so basically, sometimes a purifier is a cylindrical copper vessel. Usually that's around, this was the first definition, usually around like 3 feet in diameter and about 4 to 5 feet long, located inside what's called the lie pipe, also called the line arm. And the lie pipe for those... or for these huge copper pot stills is at the top of the pot still where it like goes up and then bends That's called the lie arm, or the line arm, or the lie pipe. And it bends, and it's basically gets to that like elbow area of the piping. And then that's where where the condensate or even the evaporated vapor goes towards the condenser. The angle of this arm can have actually a huge impact on the flavor of the whiskey. But this purifier is typically in this section. And so I looked at it in a few ways. That's one way to do it. And there's also a way where you can like form like a pipe back from a certain portion of the line arm and stuff like that. But there's a few ways you could do a purifier. It's basically, here's the biggest use of the purifier. There's something called reflux. And I'm going off the notes here. And reflux is when the vapors condense and drip into liquid before they go to the condenser, and they drip back into the pot still to be re-evaporated. And so when that happens, the more reflux happens, the basically the only the finest of the particulate, or like of the vapors, make it through. If you have like if your line arm is like pointed downwards, a lot of that stuff is just going to drip down to the condenser. But when your line arm either has a purifier or is like not exact, is like a right angle or higher, not as much is going to get through to the final result. So you're going to get like basically, I'll read off of my notes, I guess, at this point. The purifier is usually kept colder than the rest of the still, but not as cold as the condenser. It basically causes, like I said, more reflux, meaning that the distillate condenses and is recycled back into the still. And apparently what this comes down to is this: there are lighter, more volatile compounds in the distilling process and heavier compounds that can make it to be distilled and condensed to make distillate. Basically, that's distillation. But what Glen Grant does by using not only purifiers, which apparently were originally added by the Major, the guy who really started the brand a long time ago, like in the 1800s, but also using those tall, slender stills. Basically, what they're trying to do is get the lightest vapor compounds, which lend to lighter, fruitier, and crisper, refreshing notes. That's their aim. And that's what makes Glen Grant so different in the Speyside Highland region. Anyway, they're not the only ones to use purifiers. Apparently, Ardbeg uses purifiers, which I thought was kind of cool. But it is pretty rare altogether. You're not going to get your average distiller using purifiers. But so far, if Ardbeg and Glen Grant are using it, I'm a fan.
Okay.
That's what I got to say there. Anyway, let's talk about what we're drinking today. Glen Grant 15, specifically. So it's not just 15, it's 15 batch strength, edition number 1. So maybe there'll be an edition number 2 in the future. But here's the funny thing.
Is this the right one?
Yes, if it says Glen Grant 15 on it. Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't say batch strength. Okay, just 15.
Yeah, but that's the funny thing is my next note touches that. So when I was reading this or doing the research for this, I found out that in 2021, the Scotch of the year was not Glen Grant 18. It was Glen Grant 15 batch strength in first edition.
No.
And so I'm like, and I wasn't near the bottle at that moment, but I'm like, surely what I have at home is not special. It's just a Glen Grant 15. But no, what we're drinking today is actually Glen Grant 15 batch strength edition number 1, or first edition, which I thought was awesome. So we're drinking the 2021 Scotch of the year, according to Jim Murray. So it is a Roth's Speyside. And that just means it was made in Roths, the town in Moray, Scotland, on the River Spey. So it is a Speyside, meaning that this was fed by the River Spey. And the Spey is used, like I said, in their whiskey process. Last time we had the 16 year, it was 86 proof. And the 18 year is also 86 proof. And what we're drinking today is 100 proof. So it's batch proof, even though it says batch strength, but that doesn't mean it's cask strength, as it is only 100 proof. Unless that's the exact proof which it came off the still, or off the barrel. So anyway, single malt fits. It is a single malt, so it fits these rules. Single distillery, 100% malted barley, distilled using pot stills and aged for at least 3 years in casks less than 700 liters. Total wine price for a what do you call it? I don't know about Total Wine, but when my father-in-law got it, he bought a 1 liter, so not a 750, a full liter for 82 pounds, which is equivalent to about $100. So shout out again to Tracy Lewis, my father-in-law, for being a baller. So, all right, let's pour this. I'm really excited for this one. I've sipped it already. There are most of the time when we're sipping something on the podcast that I have a bottle of, I've either had it and it's just one that I've easily had before. But if there's something we haven't drank for a while, or it's not like an obvious pour, usually I'll save it. But this one I actually decided to drink.
Super light.
Yeah, on the color especially.
Kind of like a white grape on the nose.
Oh, really? I like that. I gotta give it a good sniff.
Nice sweetness to it.
Mm-hmm. Very, very light. And like light in a refreshing way, not in a notes way. Like it's not like it's not like watered down light. It's more like crisp, refreshing, similar to what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, white grapes, a little bit of pear. I'm getting pear and apricot as well. Not apricot fruit. The actual flesh of apricot.
But overall, it's just nice and sweet. There's a good sweetness to the nose.
Yeah, it's very agreeable. This is a nose that I would hand to someone who's like, I don't think I like whiskey or scotch. I'd be like, well, try this nose first.
Ooh.
And then you might agree that this is a very refreshing. What? What's your face like? That's a scary face.
Well, I don't know if I'm liking it so far.
Really?
But I mean, honestly, it could just be that first sip. Like I have my palate's not really warmed up. My entry buzz was about 2.5 hours ago.
It's got like musty raisins on the finish.
It's got layers to it too. Like I went through a couple waves of different flavors, or it just wasn't cooperating with me.
Yeah. So this is different than what I remember Glen Grant 16 to be. Because this has a little more depth to it. It has a little more complexity and a little less light fruits and a little more dried fruits, to be honest.
It's pretty dry. It feels it like tastes like a dry white wine. Like almost like doesn't taste. It has like a mouthfeel like that. What was the proof on this again? This feels hot.
100.
Yeah, okay.
So hotter than your average scotch.
Yeah. I get a little bit there's a little bit of like white sugar, like granulated sugar kind of a sweetness.
Totally.
It's an interesting kind of peaty smoke on it.
Oh, really?
Right?
I'm not getting any peaty.
You're not getting any peaty? Like I get a little bit of like smoky. Is it not peated at all?
I don't think so.
Why am I getting smoked?
Like opposite of that.
Yeah. Space sides are typically not peated,
malted
right?
Barley. Typically space sides are not peated. The alternatives you'll get of the Highland region and stuff like that. At Tomatin, they'll do like a peat week, as well as Balvenie will do like a peat week. But Balvenie is raw. No, what is Balvenie? What the crap is Balvenie?
Maybe it's the oakiness that I'm getting. That's a little more smoky or something. I don't know. But I get I do get like some earthy, smoky kind of a thing going there. Can't say I love it, to be honest.
It's not your Scotch of the year.
I don't think it would be.
So I'll tell you, I haven't given too many notes on this one. Up front, there is that white wine, like almost a mixture to me of like a Pinot Grigio. Or what is the one? Pinot, is that a white wine?
Yeah, I think so. No.
Yeah, Pinot Grigio and like
Pinot Noir?
Chardonnay. No, definitely not
Noir is
Pinot Noir.
red.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's like a Chardonnay mixed with your average white wine. But then it turns into like a nice fruitiness. There's kind of a numbing. I actually am going to stand by this note. There's kind of a Novocaine note to it.
I see that.
Do you know what I mean by that?
I get yes, but I also get like a medicinal bitterness to it.
Yeah,
So I don't know
that's
if that's
basically
part
what
of
I
it too.
mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then there is like almost like it's like a numbing agent, like
Well, it's
typically
hot.
that
Like it
taste you
comes in
get when
hot.
you,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I so far I think I like Glen Grant 16 a little better. And this is funny. What's his name? Ben Klepsik. Sorry to call you. What's his name? Ben Klepsik reached out this week, and he was talking about his opinion on certain scotches because he's a Scotch appreciator, but he's first and foremost a American whiskey appreciator. And so some of the funny things we realize in the States is that we really like high proof stuff. At least I would say in general, whiskey connoisseurs really enjoy a nice high proof bourbon or rye. Does that always translate to scotches? That was our question. It was like, I don't know. I've really enjoyed some like 86 proofers, like Glen Grant 16, for example. That one can be amazing, or stuff like that's not high proof. It can be amazing. But then again, some cast strength scotches can be amazing too, but sometimes they're not as good as like a 90 proofer or like a 80 proofer sometimes of a scotch. So it's funny, like, am I just influenced by American whiskey, or um am I enjoying the scotch for what it is? It's funny. But what I was thinking as well with the notes is that there's a pearness to it, but the finish has a white sugar raisiny to it, as opposed to like Glendronach, which has a brown sugar raisiny to it. If that makes any sense,
Mhm.
it's a brighter, crisper fruit, even though it's like that dried raisiny fruit. So I like it. I don't like it as much as Glen Grant 16 thus far. So I'm gonna add some water.
Water wise, I get a little bit more of that like apricot sweetness, but there's like still medicinal thing there going for me. So on the
Okay.
nose, I am looking forward to like proving it down a little bit, see how it goes. A couple drops in there,
Yeah.
get the old, making it dizzy, the old swirly
I have a
poo.
great feeling
Rinja.
about this with ice after
I
this too, or even with
I
some
do.
water.
I am with you on that.
The nose to me opened up a little bit. I'm not getting. Man, that's a nice, like very sweet note. I want to say
Man,
candy, but
maybe it's either oak or the malted barley. I'm getting like a smokiness to it because I'm still kind of getting like a
mhm.
peaty kind of note to it. Not heavily, but it's there. I think a
I
little
want
bit
to
of the
say ex bourbon barrels for aging on this one, but I'm not sure.
I want to say the bitterness is not as pronounced either. Like that medicinal taste, nose wise, I got a
Yeah.
little more medicinal, but the medicinal taste is not there like it was. I prefer this with water right now for sure.
Uh huh.
Hmm. I will say this.
What is it?
Oh man, I am not loving this though.
Really?
I
Just
really am not.
like wow. I'm liking it. I'm liking
I don't like at this point. Like I want to see. Ice needs to save it. Although if ice does not save this,
it. Mhm.
I don't think I would ever really want to drink this.
I think I do prefer it with water. There is a
Fog the hole.
slight bitterness to the raisiny note I'm getting, which is
Yeah.
weird to get like bitterness and raisin, because raisin is usually that like darker, sugary, um, denser note. Um, but it's not that bad to me. Like I can get by it personally. So I'm gonna add some ice to this, and I have a really good feeling because usually the crisper, more refreshing scotches or even whiskeys like Irish whiskey sometimes can be the best with a little bit of ice.
I probably should put that. I've been a slightly congested here and there this weekend too. So my
Okay,
taste might be off on it too, but
that was me last week.
yeah. Nose wise is dead. It's muted for sure. There's not as much going
Yeah,
on there.
it's
I think that
definitely
there's a
muted.
little bit of that granulated sugar, kind of white sugar note there, but other than that, not a lot going on. I will say
It's
it looks like you're drinking a
Mhm.
glass of wine there, Cole.
It really does. I was just
Yeah,
about to
it's
comment
super
on
light.
the color. It's very light, even for 100 proofer. Very light. So I imagine they're only using like ex bourbon barrels and no like sherry or anything like that, because as we know, sherry butts do two things. First, they drive me nuts, and they darken colors of whiskeys. So
Ice is the best. I like this with
okay,
ice. I get a slight bitterness, not much. Everything else is kind of muted. It's sweet. I'd say it's more like a light pear kind of a sweetness. But and I don't know. I wish I would have cleansed my palate before doing the ice, because like I get a little bit of lingering bitterness, but I don't know if that's from the previous pours. So ice is definitely the best pour for me.
That is, yeah, it's definitely the best pour. It I mean, it is crisp and fruity to me. Not as crisp and fruity as the 16-year that we had.
Rudy Tooty crisp and fruity.
Yeah, Rudy Tooty crisp and fruity. It's good. I like it. I actually will give this a decent score. But it is a little bit of a... It's hard for me because I really do see a difference between this and the 16-year. I won't even go to the 18 because we haven't drank that yet on the podcast. So, but the 16-year, I just remember being beautifully pears, apples, orchard fruits. It didn't even have, as far as I remember, really didn't have any dried fruit notes. Just had really refreshing fresh fruit notes. This one has a little bit of both.
Fresh.
Yeah. And like that raisiny note I was talking about, maybe even like dried apricots, it has a little bit of, which I'm a fan of, but not like... I'm a bigger fan of fresh fruit notes than I am of dried fruit notes when it comes to a Scotch. So I won't give this probably the higher score that I gave Glen Grant 16. But I like it. And with ice, it shows up more, that refreshingness. I could drink this after mowing the lawn. Yeah, heck yeah, this would be amazing with some ice. So I'm glad to have a bottle at home that goes great with ice. And even for for my friends and stuff that come over and they're like, hey, do you have anything that goes well with ice? I'll be like, heck yeah, I do. And it's not even Irish this time. So,
or yeah. Japanese.
Yeah. Oh man, Japanese with ice could be great. Yeah. So,
all right.
Do you have a rating in mind?
I do, and I have a feeling it's going to be a big split between the two of us. I'm going to give this a 6.3. Like,
it's pretty low.
It is low. I'm saving some. When I feel better, I'm going to come back and visit again. I think just like the medicinal and the bitter shows up a lot. Like, it's hard for me to even want to drink it, kind of a thing. So, and I like my whiskey. I don't usually have a problem. Like, hey, here's some whiskey, drink it. Okay, not a problem.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's interesting.
What do you got?
I didn't think it would be such a big split, but I'm okay with that. I'm gonna go 8.7 here.
Okay,
closing in on 9, but not that close. But enough to be high 8s. 8.7 tells me that this is very enjoyable. It is worth even the slight note of bitterness that I get. It's totally worth it. It is. I like a Scotch that is bright fruity. This is that, but not as much as the 16-year. I like the proof, especially with the ice pour, that like proofing it down with some ice doesn't make it too low where it's like not even, any alcohol. So that's one of the other pluses of this one. And yeah, I'm still a fan of Glen Grant. I'd still rep it. So 8.7 for me.
I'm not a fan.
Ooh, that's good.
I'm not a fan of this pour.
So you ever hear of the old joke that was like, since I said like this has some pluses to it. There's the old joke that's like some Swiss person like Roger Federer, who I think is Swiss, but anyway, they're like, so Roger Federer, what's the best part about living in Switzerland? And he's like, well, the flag's a big plus.
I like that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a good dad joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I guess that is a perfect transition to our next segment of the show that we like to call Whiskey World News.
Yeah, we're back. Part of the show where we read an article. We talk about it. Didn't write it, gonna read it. Here we go. This one comes from the Whiskey Wash, but from our good friend Gary Cutter.
Yeah.
And it's titled Broken Barrel Whiskey's Americana Whiskey features a new oak bill. Broken Barrel Whiskey
Ooh.
Company recently added a fifth expression to its core lineup of Kentucky straight bourbon and rye whiskeys. The new whiskey Americana clocks in at 100 proof ABV and measures a mash bill of 80% corn, 40% rye, 6% malted barley. A statement from Broken Barrel explains that Americana explores blended American whiskeys with an entirely new oak bill, a concept unique to Broken Barrel, which denotes the combination of barrel staves from different types of barrels used in these expression. In Americana, it's 40% charred American oak, 40% toasted American oak, and 20% American apple brandy cask. The distiller's notes
Ooh.
show that the result of this oak bill is a distinctive whiskey with a honeycomb sweetness and the notes of toasted cashew and butterscotch that melts into a more complex oak and marshmallow notes. And retail price of $35. So Cole, I'll stop there. Any thoughts? Any thoughts on the
So
Broken Barrel?
it's been a while. Were you on that episode?
Yes, I was. I recorded it in my
Yeah.
garage. I remember that.
Nice. So yeah, we interviewed. It was a while ago. It had to be like around 100 or something like that. But
yeah, it was cold
we
a year ago, 2 years
okay.
ago.
So yeah, something like that. Yeah. We brought on Seth. I forget what his last name is, but Seth from Broken Barrel Whiskey Company, and I love what Seth's doing. I might not like love every whiskey they put out, but I love him as a business person for sure. Because I think he even mentioned that he like patented or trademarked the term oak bill, or I'm sorry, yeah, was it oak bill or yeah, it was oak bill.
I think so.
But he
something like that.
Yeah, he basically, like most, we talk about mash bill and we talk about that kind of stuff, but he basically says we age it so long in these kind of staves and so long in these kind of staves and then so long in these kind of staves. And I really like what he's doing. He's doing something different, but also something very legal to the whiskey making world. Like there's some people that are doing
like within
some things
context.
that you're like, they very much
like there's like you go stave wise, like there's people that will just drop in just a stick.
Yeah, but also like you get people that are doing like even like what do you call it? Like Fireball is not legally whiskey. It is legally cinnamon whiskey, but it's not legally whiskey. And stuff like that where you're like breaking the laws and getting around things, but like with Seth and Broken Barrel Whiskey Company, they're doing things that are very legal and very unique. And I love him as a business person that he's willing to try these things. And I would love it. And here's the other thing. Last thing I'm going to say about this article is that it's still very reasonably priced. That's what I really love about Broken Barrel Whiskey Company is that it is reasonable to try it out. What was it? $40 or something like that?
35?
$35 for this release. And it's like a cool finished whiskey. Was it a bourbon or a whiskey?
I think it was a bourbon.
Yeah, but either way, it's an American whiskey. Wait, no. Okay, cool.
Well, it's 80% corn.
It very well might be a corn whiskey then. But either way, it's an American whiskey. And I like what he's doing because he's going for the best flavor. And he's a scientific man as well. So if you haven't tried a Broken Barrel whiskey product yet, it's worth trying. So
I think so. And I think the thing that like I liked when we talked to him is, like we had I can't remember, I think it was a bourbon with French oak. And I'm like, oh, that makes more, like, it was easy to kind of pull out that note and be like, oh, this is what that French oak does to this one. Because I think we did two bourbons and one was a French oak, one had something else going on with it. And so
yeah,
I think the other cool thing is he uses old barrels, right? Like it's not just
he breaks them
stick or stave of like something or other. It's like the actual barrel goes into the aging process there from an old which is cool. So I'm interested.
Cool. Yeah. So
you got to reach out to them again.
That sounds actually, he was such a nice guy, and he had a collection.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so we should do that again.
All right. Time to move on here to what whiskey would you choose. Last week we talked about Happy Thanksgiving. What are you drinking that isn't Wild Turkey? Cole went with Surprise, Eagle Rare.
Surprise.
I went with High West Double Rye, and Cole handily won.
And I
76 to 24% there. Some writers here. Nathan Anthony, Elijah Craig. It pairs well with the Bush's baked beans he's serving for Thanksgiving. Great idea. Muth Man.
Yep, that's a friend of mine.
Eagle
Kyle.
Rare. Kyle's drank
Yeah.
Eagle Rare as well.
Good
Drew
choice,
Tolan,
Kyle.
Blue Note 17. Dramhound, about to add Weller Special Reserve to some eggnog. Getting noggy with it.
Hey. And then he showed us a picture of it, and I'm like, respect.
Brian Rapp, Four Roses Barrel Strength, OBSV.
Nice. Oh, nice.
Brotask and Nascanosa for American Thanksgiving, and I shouldn't have known that. I'm like, our Canadian
That's
and
true.
Tasmanian friends.
We do have
Sorry, it's
international
not your
friends out there.
Thanksgiving. It was ours. 1792, important date for the U.S., the Postal
Yeah.
Service Act.
Yeah, as well as
And-
Kentucky became a state.
And Marco Nazi, you can't tell me what to drink. Bring on the Wild Turkey 101. And I
Okay.
respect that as
I'll
well. So.
respect that. Yeah.
All right. So, Cole, you got what whiskey would you choose for this week?
Oh, I do.
Oh,
So
let's hear
this
it,
week
brother.
we're not going positive. We're going negative here.
Oh boy.
So we, Robby and I, we have the things that we like in whiskey. We have a lot of things we like in whiskey. I like candy notes. I like sweet notes. I like apples. I like things like that. If you can get me
love
apple
cinnamon,
candy
I love
and
peppery, and I love alcohol.
yeah, exactly. I love it all. But there are some things we don't like.
Oh yeah.
I've talked about things like bitterness. I've talked about things like soapiness and stuff like that. And what is one of your least, if not the least favorite note that you get in certain whiskeys?
Okay.
And what whiskey exemplifies that
Least favorite note, and which
Mhm.
whiskey is just over the top with that note and you can't stand it.
Mhm.
Easy. I can't
Okay,
stand
go for it.
Pendleton. I can't stand Pendleton. I am not a fan of vanilla notes.
You're like,
I
get
would
out of
I
the
would
Pacific
take
Northwest,
smoked sheep
Pendleton.
dung. I would take
Mhm.
smoked sheep dung notes over vanilla notes pretty much any day.
Mhm.
I can't like Pendleton. It's just like it's fake. I don't like vanilla Coke. It's just too vanilla-y.
I like vanilla Coke.
I'm not there. Like, do I love vanilla ice cream like with real vanilla bean? Absolutely. But fake vanilla flavor, that's all I get from Pendleton, and I can't stand it.
I like that. That's a good answer. I think we'll get some good responses this week. Personally, people might guess my notes. So there's two notes that I really don't like, which I kind of mentioned already. I don't like
Soapy.
I don't like when it gets too oaky. I don't like when it gets too bitter, and I don't like when it gets soapy. Out of the three of them, soapy is the least favorite for me, and I just get it. And I'm not one of those guys that, like they say, like it's a genetic thing when people taste soap when they're eating cilantro.
My theory is that that's God trying to wash the devil out of you because you're crazy.
Yeah, I'll tell Heather that because she's one of those people.
My sister-in-law Danae too. Yeah.
Danae, get with the program, Danae. Enjoy some cilantro. I'll tell her that next time I see her. Anyway, I think that soapiness is the worst of all three. And there are two whiskeys that come to mind, but I'm only going to mention one. So the legacy brand Black Maple Hill can be apparently amazing. I've never had one of their bourbons yet, but I did have their, quote, Oregon rye a while ago, and I hated it.
Yeah, I remember
thought it was soapy and small barrel-y, and it was.
And I've seen
disgusting.
bottles of Black Maple Hill, and I passed on it because I remember Cole did not like it,
especially their Oregon rye. So that's what I'm going to say. Black Maple Hill Oregon rye with the soapy note. But I am very interested to see what other people's ideas are of what one of their worst or least favorite notes are, and what whiskey really brings out that note.
I see. I almost thought you were going to go. I thought you were going to. I mean, that's a more ubiquitous, more like that note can be in several whiskeys. But I almost thought you were going to go with like old sweat socks or old rags from Long Branch. But you don't really get that too much.
Yeah. No, you don't get that all over.
Yeah.
Ubiquitous is true. You get that a lot more with the soapy note as opposed to the sweaty gym rag that I got from Wild Turkey Long Branch. So that's this week's What Whiskey Would You Choose? Next week on Chill Filtered, I actually looked some up that I wanted to talk about this week, but I'm going to look up my list real quick, and we're going to talk about what we're going to drink next week. I want to go with something basic next week. So, what about
our color shout?
What about our color shout? I don't know what that's from. What
The
about
champ.
Evan Williams Bottled in Bond
Okay. And
versus Makers 101?
perfect.
Let's do it.
Done deal.
Makers 101, Evan Williams Bottled in Bond. They're both about 100 proof. So, and they're both American. They're both bourbons. And they're both somewhat easy to find on the shelf. And so we're going to put it between those two. And then that'll be the week after Thanksgiving. And then we're getting closer to Christmas. And Robbie, we got to think of what we're going to be drinking on our Christmas episode. Do you have any ideas?
Oh, I know. No. We got that midwinter night, right?
We do.
We got a sample. I think
don't
we got a sample
do.
of. I think we do.
I don't know.
We'll talk. Let's talk about this later, Cole.
Let's talk about it
Let's
later.
talk about it later because you know what, Cole.
But yeah, I hope that we could find that on both of our shelves this week.
And you know what, Cole? I hope one thing this week I wanted to mention. Like we got a lot of messages on Thanksgiving just saying, "Hey, thanks for entertaining us. Thanks for making things fun."
Yeah.
And I really hope you guys understand that you guys make it fun for us. And I hope that we continue to be worth it for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hope that our listeners know that honestly, without them, we wouldn't be going any further.
I don't think so. I think we could keep doing
it would
this.
just be,
but it'd be less
for
fun.
no good reason.
It'd be less fun for sure.
It'd be a lot less fun. That's really the truth. That I hope our listeners know that they make our lives and our show and our podcast a lot more fun.
Absolutely. But most of all, I hope listeners, our love of whiskey lifted your spirits.
Hey.
I just got a back spasm when I did that.
I think I heard it.